Hi, I'm Marty Grizzani, and this is The Marty Grizzani Show. As a full-time real estate investor and business owner, I have a real fascination of finding the key principles for business success and personal development. This show is a reflection of my personal mission to find out what truly makes somebody successful in business and in life. We will find tools and tactics that they've used to reach those levels. If you're the type of person is not satisfied with average and you have a hunger for learning that will never cease, this show is for you. Welcome to the show. This is actually very special, Giancarlo. It's not just a special occasion. I mean, it's always a special occasion when you and I get together, especially when there's a fire ablaze in the back. You have a beautiful tree in the background with, probably tons of presents for yourself under there. And you have the look. Like I could see you on the cover of a Kohl's magazine right now. Like you just look perfect.
Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. I always, whenever Christmas rolls around, that's a good excuse for me to get the fireplace going.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I knew I would have you on. So I know you have the fireplace in the background and a beautiful Christmas tree. I have my Enright shirt on, and I know as you're a Nazareth alumni, you probably had a time or two at Enright's. Is that fair to say?
To be honest with you, Marty, I was a hermit crab during my college years.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm at a loss there.
Yeah. I went there for you. That's all good. You probably you definitely made the wise decision not going there. Well, I'm excited to talk to you because here's the thing. There's been so many people that I've talked with that, whether they're people that like yourself who have been on the bus tours and have taken the time to, learn from the podcast that we've done or from, any sort of material I've put out there. But you're one of the first mentee students that I've ever had who not only did those things, but then absolutely went out and crushed it. So for people who don't know, I'm so happy to have you on the show. Giancarlo Molina, thank you for being here. But more importantly, let's get right to it. What does your portfolio look like right now? Because, you really hit this thing out of the park. I feel like you are one of the people that you could have gone to any bus tour or any sort of teaching seminar or coaching, and you would have crushed it. So, but tell me, where are you now? What does it look like? And where are we going for 2023?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Marty, for having me on the show. Thank you for hyping me up as always. You make me feel more important than I am. My current portfolio now, it consists of 20 rental units scattered throughout 9 properties. They either consist of a single family house or a small multifamily home, and they're all within the city of Rochester. And that's been going good so far. It's been a great learning experience. And I'm currently working on a flip about 45 minutes south of Rochester, so I'm keeping busy with that. And for the year, looking forward to 2023. I'm always looking to expand to that portfolio, and then also start getting myself a little bit more involved with doing a couple more flips as well.
I love it, buddy. That's incredible. 20 doors at this point, which is freaking fantastic. And you've got a flip you're working on. Let's talk about that flip, because I remember you sent me some information on that. Kind of wanted to get my idea on it. So can you tell us a little bit about what you think the ARV is? Maybe just start from the beginning, maybe how you found it, what you bought it for, what the rehab looks like, and what you plan to sell it for.
So I found it through a local wholesaler. I was able to purchase, nobody really wanted to touch it. He has, I'm in that list of, potential, and buyers, investors who are looking to purchase properties from him. But, nobody wanted to touch it, rightfully so. It's a big project. So I bought it for $33,000, and, I budgeted around $90,000. Of course, Marty, budgets, our budgets, I've gone, $10,000 over that budget. But it's we well, I know I'm hoping to get, 200,000, the ARV, we're hoping to get $200,000 for it. But it's been a very, this has been, my biggest project to date. It's been essentially building a house from scratch.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
that. You're absolutely right. And just so you know, when you're building a house from scratch, because we're doing one right now where we went probably 40 over our budget, right? What's so great about it though is that how much you've learned in that process. So let's say best case scenario, or let's say worst case scenario, it's just a $10,000 over your budget. On a project that size, when there's so much involved, it's super difficult to nail down a budget. So just being 10,000 over, especially with the inflation and the material costs that have occurred over the last, 6 months, I think that's freaking damn good, especially for that project. I mean, this was from the studs, was it not? I mean, we're talking literally everything, right?
Yeah. New roof, new siding, new drywall everywhere, new floors everywhere. It was just, plywood, subfloor, studs everywhere, no kitchen at all whatsoever. There was no bathrooms. It was just, it was as close to building a house as you can get without, building an actual house.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yep, it makes total sense. And it's just super difficult, like I said, to narrow in and zero in on a budget. But you've been able to get through it so far. So, all right, let's talk about what you've had to do in regard to this project, because I think a lot of people look at a fix and flip, and you've done, though, this wasn't one that you just your first time. You know what I mean? You've done some serious rehabs before, where I know when we first, one of the first ones we looked at, it was right after the flip tour. You did a beautiful job in the Maplewood area of Rochester on a property, and you probably could have flipped it. You probably could have made some money, right? But you decided to keep it, and now you're going to make long-term money. In regards to a wealth building vehicle, which I always like to try to do as much as you can with the rentals. But let's talk about, what did you learn on that first one in the Maplewood area? And it wasn't your first one, but it was like one of your more recent projects that you had in Maplewood that I knew about. And then that you learned that you wanted to take on such a big project, because that's very difficult to do. So did you get the confidence because you were able to kind of find out one or two things from that initial flip, and that's why you decided to take on such a big project?
Yeah. It was actually my, I would say my third project, to that point where I was actually, taking on the property, renovating it. And, my end goal, my exit strategy was to initially flip it. But I got the unexpected surprise of having to replace a roof, which wasn't in my original budget. But since the market was so hot in, beginning of 2021, I decided to, I got saved. I decided to go to my bank, refi it, and keep it, and I was able to regain not only the purchase price, but as well as the renovation cost.
It's incredible. Yeah, we've all been saved a few
Yeah.
times with the market, and to the victor goes the spoils at times, right? I mean, we're taking the risks here, and what's so cool about this is that you're getting a lot of this knowledge. I mean, again, 20 doors. You're not a rookie. You know what I mean? Like you're on now. You're a vet at this point, in my opinion. But what's really cool about it is you've learned so much in the last couple of years, building your portfolio, you know, doing flips, figuring it out, how to buy right, how to work with banks, how to raise money, how to make sure that the projects are being done on a timely manner so that when this next cycle happens, right? Because right now we're probably going to hit a little bit of a lull. Rochester's a little different, right? Upstate New York is probably still, it's actually still pretty warm of a market and comparatively to some of the other places in the country. But what you've learned in this first cycle is going to be so big because, geez, you're only in your 30s, right? I mean, the next time it comes around, it's going to be mayhem. You're going to just be able to have everything in place. You're going to be able to buy so many more units if that's something you want to do, or maybe go bigger or whatever it is. So, are you really excited about what's coming down the line for you?
Yeah. You know, the you know, I really didn't see myself, in this position, Marty. I've 3 years, when I started this journey, and I really wish, that I know I'm hoping, I have a point of view of, when I'm talking to you, I want to gear this episode towards, new investors, people who are looking into getting into the real estate industry, and, I was in their position, 2, 3 years ago, and, now that I've accumulated this amount of properties and these amount of units and I'm doing flips, I, am prepared now, and for the next market cycle, when things do go south, I know exactly what I want, and I'll go for it.
All right. So, great point, right? So, really, really good point. You were a rookie 4 years ago. Why are you different? Why did you separate yourself from some of the other people that maybe you talked with in the beginning who still haven't made a splash and bought their first property? Why do you have the urgency to continue and succeed? Why?
I think that's really more of a, something within me. My urgency is, I have something with, my parents. I always wanted to, as a young kid, to show them that I'm capable of doing something productive, with my life. So, partly has to go with that. And then partly, of course, you know, just I just have a sense within me, to always, be better at whatever is it that I'm doing. It can be this, it can be, my personal health. It can be, being a father, being a husband. I always try to push myself to be as best as be the best version of what I can be.
I love that because I have that same beginning a bit where it's a prove it to my parents. And not that they haven't been very supportive, but I think being the youngest, there was something to it for me where you just wanted to stand out maybe because you were, I'm the youngest. So it felt like at times maybe that the attention was on the older sibling, right? So I wanted to figure out a way where I could, because I wasn't bigger than my brother or faster than my brother, all things because he's older. So now I am. Now I'm bigger. Now I'm faster. Shout out to Ricky. But no. It was more of just because you're the youngest, you have to try to figure out a way to get the attention because you're the youngest in the family. So was that something for you? Like what? How does your childhood or the way you were raised impact that journey?
Yeah, it's not. Well, I didn't really have a older sibling to compete with. I'm very sorry about that, Marty. I'm pretty sure that must have been tough on its own. But I just, and rightfully so, the a parent's intuition is not to really, push their push their kid to, do something that they don't want to do, or push them, where they're gonna be, suffering health wise. So they always tell them, take, well, for me, don't take on so much. For example, when I was in college, they would say, don't take so many classes during the semester, pace yourself, X, Y, and Z, Marty. So I'm always, okay, that's fine. I would like to show you, on a friendly, competitive way, that I am capable of doing such things.
I love that. I love it. I think that's great. And it's something that is what I see when I have people on my show. There's just this internal motivator. It's like this motor that people have. It's this burn, it's this desire, and you have that. So I'm really grateful that you've taken the time to go into real estate, because I know how much you're helping out the local community with being a great housing provider, as well as somebody that's wanting to get better. And it's just good to know somebody like that. And it gets me amped up, and it makes me want to be better as well. Tell me about some, maybe formulas, or do you have like a process that you follow? Some of the people that I've talked with in the past have like a really good morning routine. Some people that I know have specific things they would like to do, like they express gratitude. It helps them kind of center themselves. Some people I've talked with meditate. Some people, they work out in the morning, and that helps them get, some of the cobwebs out and start their day. Do you have something along those lines that's helped you to be a successful person?
I wish. I mean, I should be doing that.
The anomaly of Giancarlos.
No, what? Really, there's really nothing special about my day. I wake up. I have a couple of kids, to mind after. So that's my first thing that I do is make sure that they're alive, and then I still have a W-2 job. And I make sure, during that W-2 job, to always be focused in real estate, always in constant contact with realtors that I know, making sure that, just making sure that I'm there to purchase anything that someone is looking to get rid of, something, they don't want to deal with anymore. If they have any non-paying tenants, if they're just sick and tired of owning the property, and if I have a project currently going on, I always make sure with the guys that I have working up there at a property, making sure that they have all the materials, making sure that they're well fed, X, Y, and Z. And then once I'm done with my W-2 job, then I come home, spend a little bit, an hour or so with the kids and with my wife, and then make sure, try to every day to go to the gym, dedicate that time to myself,
Great.
make sure that, I'm feeling good about myself.
Yep.
And then, just come back home, just dot my I's and cross my T's with regards to, following up with real estate related activities. And that's really about it.
You know what I love, Giancarlos, is that you're focused. And that's, I think, the real big difference maker for people is like, you can have a crazy morning routine, different things, but you just hit the nail on the head. It's like, I don't need those things. I'm focused as hell, and I want it, and I'm after it. Urgent. Like, again, it's all about the urgency. Like, it's just some people are whimsical about their day and they wake up and let the day happen to them. And some people freaking make sure that shit is happening for them, and they're not waiting around. So I love that. And I'm really happy that you are going to the gym. I think that's a really great thing to do, because it's, for me, it's just it helps my mind, and it helps make sure that, number one, that I'm clear on what I'm going after. I can self-reflect. So I'm glad to hear that, because I know how important it is for me. Do you, do you have maybe for the people that are new, because some people go, all right, well, that's great. I know all the great things you've done, but tell me about some bad stuff.
Yeah.
Because bad stuff is really how you learn, right? It's the errors that we make. So can you think of maybe some, I don't want to say bad choices, but maybe poor choices that you made, or I don't even want to say poor choices. I just want to say mistakes, right? Because it's all mistakes. We're all constantly making mistakes, and we're constantly kind of having our many little falters when we're in this business. Can you think of any that you learned a lot from?
Yeah. Well, the biggest mistake that I did, I mean, of course, to the new investor, don't make this, I don't want to, hinder them from starting their real estate ventures. But, I started investing, you know, just before and during COVID,
Mm.
and the biggest mistake that I did there was, inheriting a lot of non-paying tenants. And, I'm in the business of, you know, depending on that cash flow at the end of each month. And so that's one of the first hurdles that I had to overcome when I first started out, that I'm still experiencing, of course, not to a large extent, but just a small portion of my portfolio. And that's always I'm working with my property manager. Um, that, I've also had contractors who have done the job halfway. They would take the first deposit of the job on Monday, and on Tuesday you would not hear from them again. I also had you know I'm trying to think of something else, Marty, something big. Really, that's that. And
Well,
really,
while you're
yeah.
thinking of that, is what would you have done differently in regards to when you're buying a house with non-paying tenants? Would you wait for it to be vacant? Would you ask the seller for a discount? Like, how would you approach it now? Because again, there's a lot of properties that are coming up, and there's going to be even more that somebody wants to sell. And a lot of times this is off market where someone wants to sell it, but they have an unpaying tenant. How do you approach that now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, you can, from my experience and from talking with other people who do this, every day, really what I've seen is they do cash for keys. So they would, offer them cash, with the intent of the tenant to vacate the unit. And, I know of people who would take it one step further and help them with the process of looking for a unit, and also help them with moving their contents to the new apartment.
Super good. Super,
Yeah,
super good.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so good and it's so true. And that's what we've done that, Giancarlos, right? We've done that. I think I was talking to you about that on the flip tour, one of the properties that we looked at. That's exactly what we had to do. We took a risk buying it. We were getting a good deal, right? So you want to make sure if you're taking a property on like that, you're already getting a pretty solid deal. Because my upside was if I can get this person out, it's going to be a home run. If I don't, it's just a single. It's a single right now. It's a little bunt single. It's not that great, but if I can get them out, then it's going to be really good. And that was a key that you just gave, an absolute golden nugget, which is you got to do the things that you don't necessarily want to do, which is go on Zillow or go on Craigslist and or go on to some sort of government agency and apply for those people. And at the same time, I'll even give a little bit more. When we bought that property at the flip tour that you were on in Irondequoit, we literally just said, hey, all that back rent you have with that previous owner, we're going to wipe it away because I had already spoken with the owner. They were not going to go after that rent, right? Okay, so now I know that we can say that. So all that rent, that $8,000, we're going to completely wipe away and we're going to start fresh. And oh, by the way, where is some things that you need fixed? And we fixed those things. And then, so we knew right then and there, we were going to be able to get rent if we didn't want to flip this house. Okay, we did want to flip the house. So we found them a place to go. And that was actually going to be, a government subsidy place where, I didn't have to tell the landlord, hey, this person's a good tenant. I couldn't in good faith do that. I hope no one does that to me when I'm calling to do a reference check, right? So I want to be very clear with those things. But the third thing is that, yeah, we're going to give you the deposit. Like, I literally wrote a check to that government housing agency and gave them that deposit, so that they had that first month, that security for them to move into. So those are freaking great nuggets, dude. Love that. So what were some good decisions? What was like a really, really good decision? Was it like, for instance, some people, when they're you're out of state in a way. Was it hiring a property manager? Was it working with a specific contractor? Was there some really like, oh, I'm so glad I did that because that really helped me, build my career, whatever it might have been. Sometimes people talk about, certain coaching, certain, whatever it might be, different avenues that have helped elevate their game. Was there one in particular you can think of? Was it getting a property manager? Because I would think it would be.
Yeah, I don't want to sound too cliche, Marty, but I'm gonna do a 180 on you. I would say for the, and I hope the new investors, they pay attention, and that would be perseverance. It's not gonna be, real estate is not really black and white. You need to, just go at it every day. And, I live in upstate New Jersey. The drive here from here to Rochester, it's about 5 hours, so constantly going there every other weekend, looking at properties. Once I purchase the properties, when I have my guys up there, making sure that they have all of the materials, running around, looking for property managers, that's I'm sorry. Yeah, that's
No,
really,
this is
yeah,
fantastic. Thank you for being so real, right? It truly is just persevering. And I think that's like at the most like elemental level, right? Like, if you think about like, what is it? It's just persevering, like all through the shit, all through the punches. It's just going after it every single day. And I like to really call this, because it's one of my mentors calls it, compounding pounding. You're just compounding the pounding of just consistently going out there with your hammer and just hitting it day after day until the treasure chest opens up, right? And whatever that is for you, whatever that level of success is for you, it opens up for people. But it's a daily grind, and you're so right. I feel like it's just one of those things where you just have to be in it, and you can only fail if you give up, right? That's the only way you can actually fail, is if you give up. Because if you go after it day by day, all you're going to do is just get these lessons and occasionally some wins, right? You get occasional wins, but you'll get a lot of lessons.
right. And the last time I went up to Rochester was about a couple weeks ago, and it was really just a win. It was really a lesson. And that, Marty, I'm pretty sure you are well known with this, is the tax auction that's held, I think every 3 years or I'm not so sure. But, I didn't, I wanted to win a property on, in auction, at auction, but, it was just, even though I didn't win a property, I was able to win the experience of being there and seeing the people lifting the paddles up in the air. And just, that was a great experience to have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I'm sure, those moments of you driving, just listening to podcasts, I'm sure, right? Although those 5 hours of just you getting information, you're learning, it's not a lot of people are willing to do that, Giancarlos. So when people go, oh, you're so lucky, you got 20 units, you must have really got really lucky. What do you say to people that say that to you?
Lucky. They should see me sleeping on a inflatable bed in a house that I'm renovating with my coworkers. If that's their definition of lucky, then yeah. I'm with them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's so good. Yeah, you didn't see me sleeping on
Yeah,
a freaking inflatable mattress and in with no heat and no electric on because we're waiting for RG&E to come and turn it all on,
right,
right?
right.
They're another issue. Jeepers
Yeah.
creepers. All right, speed round. If there's a metric that you could track in your business or that you're looking at on a weekly basis or a yearly basis, it could be any of those things. What do you choose? What are you looking at? What are you really, making sure that you're focused on?
Um, I'm I mean, I should probably start, keeping tabs on this number, but it would be really just making sure I'm making my calls to um, my real estate friends who are involved in the business up in Rochester, my realtors who are up in there, my wholesalers, just making sure that, hey, I'm here, I'm looking to buy, these are my criteria, and just making sure that I'm making my at least I'm making one to two of those calls every day.
Yes, I think that's very good, and we can all we should all be doing that. I need to be doing that better, right? Because you want to be on top of people's minds. I'll tell you, I have a few buyers that I work with and clients I work with that will text me every Friday, and it's just the path of least resistance when a deal comes across our desk, or if I can't get to something and I got a property from somebody who's just told me about it. There could be 100 people out there, or there could even people who'd pay me more for a deal, right? But if I have this person that just texts me constantly, I'm just going to send it over to them. And that's just the path of least resistance. That's the same for agents. That's the same for brokers. That's the same for anybody. If you're constantly in front of somebody's face, it's just like, oh, okay, this person keeps calling me. I'm going to give them this deal. So I love that idea. I think I need to do that more. You need to do that more. We all need to do that more. And that's the same for a lot of people listening. So that's fantastic. Is there
So
a
sorry. I'm so sorry, Marty. And that would also go to, believe it or not, I've gone a couple of my deals through property managers,
mm,
since they're with, they know who's an out-of-state investor, who doesn't want to deal with a property. They know which properties where tenants aren't paying rent, just constantly ask them, don't go out and directly ask them, who's looking to sell, because I'm pretty sure they're not going to have someone who's going to be, selling. But the right question to ask would be, um, Mr. and Mrs. Property Manager, which of your um, clients are 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 having a difficult time with their properties? Which of your properties have non-paying tenants, or something along those lines, and then you
mm,
can uh, just try to always think outside the box.
super good.
Yeah,
Super good. So for those of you who need to hear that again, that's really good. If you have a property manager, it's not asking who's selling, because majority of them are not. It's, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Property Manager, who has a property that's been a big problem for you? Or is there an owner that maybe or is there a property or two that has just been an absolute pain that are near mine at all? Well, yeah, actually 123 Main Street across from yours is just not paying. Oh, okay. Go online, look up who the owner is, find the phone number, give that person a call. You don't have to throw anybody under the bus. You're just asking questions. Hey, who's somebody that you know, or what's a property or two in like my area that I buy in that has been a problem for you as manager? Oh, geez, you got to, well, then on Woodward Street, or geez, on, Lakeview Park, it's just been brutal over there at 233. Okay, no problem. Boom, make a call. That's freaking great, Giancarlos. Really, really good. Really appreciate that. Okay. Is there a book that you recommend, or was there a podcast or a YouTube channel, is there what would you recommend for a real estate investor who wants to start off for education? Is there, what would it be? What was or maybe even just the recent book that you read that was helpful for you?
Sure. Really the only book that comes up to my mind would be Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think that's a fantastic book to get into real estate. And just to, go off of that, I'm a big fan of the Marty podcast. I think, not only because you're interviewing, not because you're interviewing me, but I know that you've had some fantastic guests up to this point. You ask very great questions, and the Flip It Bus tour that you and Matt McGuckin held, I think that was fantastic as well. And then as long as even though I was not able to physically attend it, but the Go Big or Bigger event, which can be you can view it online. Marty, Matt McGuckin, and Matt Duran did a fantastic job of breaking it down into I think 7 or 8 modules, and I think that's a fantastic content that you 3 guys put out there. So go give that a check.
Well, I didn't ask him to say that. So thanks, Giancarlos. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Matt Druin and Matt McGuckin. Just absolutely crushed it. Matt Druin is a commercial guru here, and not even a guru, he's a duru, just like Matt McGuckin, my partner, and phenomenal guys that have a different take on real estate investing than I do, but all of us together are had a lot of fun, and so happy that we were able to provide real value, and we look forward to doing that again. Well, last question for you, buddy. I guess I would say if you lost it all today, okay, if we had to go back and you still know everything you know now, but if you lost all the properties and all that stuff, what would you do? Would you still invest in real estate?
Yeah, is this am I losing the knowledge, or
no, you got all the knowledge.
Yeah, I actually, I would, I would still do real estate.
Love it. So even through all the pain and all the strife and all that, there's still a little bit more of a reward than the pain. Is that right?
That's 100% correct.
Love it. I love it. And that's so true. I think that's the other thing we got to think about is that, again, we are expanding our minds. We're expanding our thresholds, pain, and a number of other thresholds, because we're just becoming, I think, better. Truly. I mean, I'm not, whether you're making money or not, I hope we are. I think we are. But at the end of the day, it's just, how do I expand as a person? And doing these things is expanding. It's difficult, but you're learning all these beautiful things that lead us to the next chapter, right? You kind of have to have these different chapters in this book so that at the end, it's just this unbelievable story that you can tell your kids and they can tell their kids. And it's a beautiful thing, because we really are, all of us, investing for our legacy, the way I see it, right? Your kids, my kids, their kids. And that's a beautiful thing.
But you will not get there unless you start.
That's it, buddy. I love it. Well, Giancarlos, thank you so much for being on the show, brother. It was so good catching up with you, man. I'm so happy for you. All the success. You're crushing it. You're doing a great thing. And I'm so excited for you and where you're going for 2023.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, buddy. All right, guys. Well, that's the show. If you need to get in touch with Giancarlos, how can they find you? If people have a deal they want to send to you?
Yeah, I think the best way to contact me would be through my personal cell phone, and that's 347-306-8651. I always keep my phone on my hip, so don't be afraid to give me a call or shoot me a text. Or if you're more social media savvy, you can reach me at Instagram. You can look me up, my name, Giancarlos _W_ my last name, Glynn.
Thanks, Giancarlos. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks.
See you guys. Thank you for tuning into the Marty Grisani Show. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, leave us an honest rating and review. If you're on Spotify, make sure you follow us for weekly episodes.